Was
So,
Snoke really just Emperor Palpatine, dude? That's it.
I mean,
what?
somehow,
What?
I love The Last Jedi, so hell yeah.
I think Snoke should have lived, and they should have just made him like the
Snoke
main
was
villain of
awesome.
that trilogy. I think that would have been better
Yeah.
than. I think bringing Palpatine back was a horrible idea.
Horrible.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
don't fucking lie. Don't lie. I think all of us, when we watched that trailer for the first time and we heard
Yeah.
the laugh at the end of the trailer,
Yeah.
I think all of us collectively were like, what the fuck? And
Yeah.
then when you see the movie, you're like, this is stupid as shit. But
Yeah.
that one moment in the trailer, I was like, oh, no, it didn't come out.
Yeah, because like for decades he's been like building this army of, I don't know what the ships are but like,
Ugh.
did he just
Star
conjure those
Destroyers,
up?
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
It
Star
It's got like
Destroyers.
1,000 Star Destroyers just under the fucking surface of this planet.
It's
like,
so absurd. It's so absurd.
Somehow Palpatine has survived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie
my-
Hart, yeah, she said, Evangeline Lilly, and Jamie, I hope you're doing well. I know Jamie, you just got out of the hospital, so
Mhm.
I hope and pray that you're doing well. But yeah, Evangeline Lilly, yeah, she great actress. She's
Jamie is a pillar of the community. Love
Oh
her
my
so
God,
much.
yes.
Yeah.
She really is. So.
One of the most positive people, man. I tell you what.
Mhm. Yeah, and there's a few like that in the community. You guys know in your comments, you'll see like certain like George here. I see freaking George in like almost every freaking video I do, and I think that God, you're just like the nicest guy, George. Yeah, and there's quite a few people in our community that they show up. They're always there,
Yeah.
in the good times and the bad, and they just want to be there for you. And it's just like, man, it's just the sweetest thing. It really is.
Mhm.
So.
keeps you going when life is tough. That's for sure. Yeah. I really lean on the community when with everything that's been going on.
I was watching your last stream, Davey, and man, you do devote a lot of the beginnings of your stream to your audience, and I think that is a great thing to do that. I just want to commit 10 minutes of my time before we get going to just saying hello to everybody and thanking you guys. And I'm like watching. I'm like, that's how you do it.
It's not a show without them, really. And I learned that from the guys from Good Real Hunting. That's something that they do very well. And I was like, man, I want to make sure that I'm engaging the chat because I want to build a community here. Because like we were saying at the beginning of the stream, you get obsessed looking at views and all those analytics. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm in it for the long haul anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in it for these people and I want to be as invested in them as they are in this channel, and then the channel is also theirs, even though it's mine. So don't tell me how to run it.
And that's the mindset to go into it with, like doing stuff like this, talking with friends about, you're not thinking about the algorithm and all that stuff. You're in the moment and you're talking about something you love and you're engaging with the community, and then you forget all about that stupid shit.
Yep.
Chappie, he says, oh, this is a good one right here, guys. Thoughts on Kathleen Kennedy leaving, or is she Lucasfilm?
Yeah.
What do you think will be her legacy and the sequel trilogy and the future of Star Wars? I'll say this. It's sad when you've had such a long career like she's had, and she has so many freaking big guns under her belt, so many billion-dollar movies, but to close it off and be one of the most hated people in the entertainment industry by some of the fans. It's and maybe that's part of the reason why she won't admit that I'm she said I will always make movies. And maybe that's what she will do. I don't know. But here's my thinking, okay? And I'm just trying to think outside the box here. If Kathleen Kennedy leaves, I think it takes more than Kathleen Kennedy leaving to get Star Wars back on track. I think everybody needs to leave, and they need to just reset, and I honestly think they need to go lower, but like George Lucas, when he made the first Star Wars, he made that movie for, I want to say $8 million or something like that. And I know adjusted for inflation, that's going to be probably, 30, 40 million today, but I think that's what they need to do. I think they need to freaking go ground up and not make a $200 million movie. Make something small and have a really, really good story. Don't remake anything. And, keep all the message bullshit out of there and just make Star Wars fun again, like it used to be. You know, when the first trilogy came out, and even some of the prequel trilogy. You know, those were just fully story centered. You when you watched the first 6 Star Wars movies, you weren't thinking about anything on the outside world. Even if you didn't necessarily like Phantom Menace, you were still in that world as you were watching the movie. You know, you're looking around like you're not on Earth. You're in Star Wars. And I think that's what they need to get back to. And I think getting rid of Kathleen Kennedy is just the start of it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Me personally, I get that she's been the poster child for everything that's gone wrong in the last decade or so for Star Wars, and everybody has wanted to put that solely on her. Yeah, she's definitely made some bad decisions. That's just a fact. But you know what? I got to be honest with you. I don't think Star Wars has really been great. You know, again, even as someone that loves The Last Jedi, and I do. I think largely the sequel trilogy is kind of a mess narratively. Yeah. No matter if you like any of those movies. And then even the prequel trilogy. I mean, how quickly people forget that. And I have a soft spot for The Phantom Menace because it's the first one I saw in theaters. I was a little kid. Right. But it's not a very good movie. And Attack of the Clones is easily my least favorite Star Wars film. I think that movie is just insanely boring and does not pay off the Clone Wars at all. So we could kind of bitch and moan, like George Lucas played a hand in it too. And his treatments for 7, 8, 9 were not very good. And so it's just like, I think that honestly, the largest problem here was they wanted to make a sequel trilogy. I don't think it ever needed to happen. And I don't think I don't think it mattered who was running the ship. I just don't think it needed to happen personally. I wasn't mad that it did. I got to go see 3 new Star Wars movies in theaters. I think Rogue One is fantastic. I think that movie is great, but largely, Kennedy was she was steering the ship, so a lot of the blame is going to go to her. But I also do feel like some of that is a little unfair because I think largely I think it's a Disney problem, and I think that whoever they put in the role there, they're going to make mistakes too, and then they're just going to become the new whipping boy for everyone. They're going to be it's this piece of shit. Like, no, I really think you need to either just halt it for a while and rebuild from the ground up, or maybe you just don't need to make episodic Star Wars movies anymore. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, some of the hype, you guys remember the hype. Revenge of the Sith. That was the end. That was the end. We all went to theaters for that one, and we were like,
I waited in line for 5 hours to watch that movie.
This is it. I can't believe this. And then it's like all undercut, 10 years later, where it's like, just kidding. And then what happens when episode 10 comes out? Just kidding again. It's just like, what are we doing? I don't know. I love Star Wars, but maybe it's time for it to rest for at least a while.
Maybe there's nothing left to tell. I don't know. And before I go to Davey, I will say this. Out of the 9 movies, the sequel trilogy is my least favorite. I'm putting that out there for sure. But I think a lot of people forget, before the sequel trilogy came out, George Lucas was probably the most shit on person I have ever seen in the entertainment industry. You go on any forum, people obliterated George Lucas for a variety of reasons. They did not like the prequel trilogy that much. They hated his messing with his movies, and not releasing the unaltered versions, officially. He was stubborn. George Lucas was pretty stubborn. Hey, these are my movies, and I'm going to make as many changes as I want to them. That pissed a lot of people off. And as soon as these new movies came out, and when Last Jedi came out, Nick likes the movie. A lot of people didn't like Last Jedi, and because of the hatred, like Last Jedi really kicked off the hatred, like the hate train. George Lucas suddenly became Jesus. And he had a halo over his head, and the guy never did anything wrong, and he was just a beautiful saint of a person, and I think people just forget how much people like almost hated George Lucas for a long time. So hey, that's not me.
That guy pops up all over the place, says the same stuff all the time. Just really like even less entertaining than Disney Star Wars.
I changed my profile picture to his, but
I think with Kathleen Kennedy, I pretty much would just echo what Nick said. I think it is a Disney problem. I think the messaging is the biggest thing that really like derailed people, and the whole like forces female kind of thing is just sort of like, I think it's kind of insulting because I think like a lot of women already really liked Star Wars. So this whole like push to make it seem like, well, we need to create a whole new crop of fans. Like we don't want to keep the old fans. That's what it felt like from Disney. And it's like, hey, you can still nurture your original fans. And I guess if you want to assume that those fans that made this franchise like so worth all of that Disney money to buy from Lucasfilm, if you want to assume that those people are hate-filled from the very beginning, instead of trying to like court them and then work in all that other stuff, because Star Wars has been really diverse for a really long time. Yeah. And we're in this odd like age now where we try to act like, oh, only now are like minorities and women getting like powerful roles. And it's like, well, Princess Leia was pretty awesome in the very first movie. Like, and it's an ensemble movie. She's one of the 3 major players, or 4 major players if you include like Obi-Wan on the good side. And right when they show up to rescue her, she's like, this is it. Like, I've been doing this my whole life. Like, you guys are a joke. You know, there's this, but it seemed natural. It didn't seem like it was coming from this place of like, you know, men just have to be put in their place. But with the way that Disney has handled Star Wars, it does seem like it's coming from this angle that is sort of like a bit of an attack, a bit of like a, let's just get rid of those old fans because we're going to get a bunch of new ones anyways. But guess what? All the original fans, their kids are the ones that you want to have buy those toys. And the reason why those toys aren't selling is because those parents are not getting their kids into Star Wars because the material isn't very good. So yeah, I think the coolest thing that could happen right now is George Lucas buys it back from Disney for a cut rate. And then he produces it and doesn't make any more movies himself, but hires a new team to carry on the legacy. And I like Nick's idea of just do like an anthology kind of thing where we just get a movie that's from like this place in time, this place in time. They don't need to be episodes, but sort of like what Rogue One did, but maybe movies that don't take place between 2 movies we already have. Like I thought Rogue One was really cool. But at the same time, it sort of felt like a little bit like a video game, like you have to go to this planet to get this thing. And the weird thing about Rogue One is they're like they talk about how strong Jyn Erso's character is, and I was like, guys, like she's literally just an object in that movie. Like that's all she is. She's all she is like, hey, we have this person with us, and you know who her dad is, so don't kill us now. And like, so I feel like that's kind of the way to go, though. Doing like these one-off sort of things, and instead of doing TV shows, let's compress that into really good films.
I will say though, I think I love Rey. I really like Rey. I thought she was a well-written character. I thought Daisy Ridley did a really good job with that role. I really like Rey. I feel like they dropped the ball on some of the other characters for sure. But when they announced, who was it, a year or so ago, that they were going to do another movie following up with Rey, kind of rebuilding the Jedi Order, I thought that was a cool idea because I liked her. And if you're going to take anything out of that, take her out of that. I liked her. But
she's a great actress, actually. Her performance in the first 2 movies, even the third movie, really. I think she is the strongest thing. Her and Kylo Ren are the strongest things out of that trilogy. There's just a lot of mess around the 2 of them, but I think both of them are really strong actors. So maybe some of the better actors. I mean, Star Wars has never been known for amazing acting. Even the actors themselves would say how George, he didn't know how to direct actors, so he would just say faster and more intense.
All I got to say to that is Natalie Portman, guys, and she's proven she can act. But my God, she's horrible in those movies. Horrible, in fact,
Fate. I feel like the Force Awakens set up, like I know Force Awakens hits a lot of beats that A New Hope hits, but I thought the Force Awakens was setting up something really cool. I loved the idea of Snoke. And while The Last Jedi is a beautiful looking film, technically speaking, I just felt like as far as the story goes, like why give that movie to a guy that wants to do the antithesis of the movie you just did? But that was just indicative of what Disney would do pretty much from there on out.
Well, they never had a plan, and that's why I largely say it's a Disney issue. Largely, it's not even really a Kathleen issue. It's like, hey, we're gonna have a different director for all 3 movies of the sequel trilogy, and then, so that's already a bad idea. And then when you have Johnson come in and do something different, their reaction is, shit, let's just go back to JJ. And JJ's like, okay, I'll just throw some shit together. And it's just like, I will say this: even if someone is like, I got more enjoyment out of the Rise of Skywalker than I did the Last Jedi, I guess I can say you had more fun. That's fine, but like narratively, you might have hated the directions the Last Jedi went in, but narratively, it was such a stronger film than the Rise of Skywalker.
Oh yeah,
that's a better directed film.
Absolutely.
It had the Rise of Skywalker had no narrative. It was a MacGuffin after MacGuffin. We'll go to this planet to do this, to do this. Oh, this guy's alive. Oh, this army is just somehow here. What the fuck ever. Like it was just basically like let's just play the greatest hits. Yeah, like turn out the lights. The party's over. We're just trying to end this.